So this is the Center for Research in Igbo History and Culture. Today is Thursday, the 27th of May 2021, and we've been chatting with Chief Basil Iwuoba. Chief, you are welcome back to the second segment of our talk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now, I want to thank you for helping us to understand the transactions that were involved in the acquisition or the donation of the land where the UMUERI International Cargo Airport is presently situated. But there are one or two issues that we want you to help us to understand further. For instance, you've been talking about the initiation of the transaction, of the donation of the land, the issue of monetary compensation and things like that. But having followed this issue of the airport for some time, I find that the dissatisfaction that the UMUERI people and the UMUERI people in general are evincing with regard to the airport is not on the issue of the money, the quantity of money, whether there was money or not, or what happened to the money. To the best of my knowledge, I think they accept that there was compensation paid to them for the land. What they did with it, I think everybody has the right to decide what to do with his money. They might have used it wisely or unwisely or whatever, but that is not our concern at this point. However, the complaint that we have heard from the people has to do with about three issues. One, the quantity of land they actually gave. How much land was actually given? And then they are also concerned with the utilization of the land, the fate of the land, what they gave the land for. Can they be confident that that is what the land is being applied for, and by the people that they gave the land to? I think these are some of the complaints that I personally have had them give. The third aspect of it is one, the quantity of land; two, the fate of the land; and three, the location of the land they actually gave. It seems there is some amount of confusion as to, yes, on paper, 5 plots or 5 hectares, but on ground, where are those 5 hectares actually located? How can you help us to understand these things?
Well, my brother, as I told you before, I was involved in the beginning, having listened to my story, how I came in. I came in at the earlier stage of the donation.
Yes.
We were told why the land was increased from A, B, C, D. We were in the know why they took it
At the beginning.
at the beginning. The only problem or only mistake government did, maybe because of what happened to the surveyors, what we chased them away with God, You understand? Maybe when the village people chase them away. They were not coming to the site to do the accusation. Rather, they were at the office at Oka using the, what do they call it? Coordinates.
Yes.
Taking land. Instead of going right, they started coming left. Going right is inside Ago.
Okay.
Coming left is where we are residing presently.
Okay.
So instead of going right, they started coming left.
Okay, so there was a problem of orientation.
That problem of orientation.
Orientation, yes.
That's the only mistake. That as in the quantity of land taken. When you know?
You knew it was parcel A, parcel
A, B,
B,
C, D.
parcel
They
C.
did the necessary notifications by publishing, advertising it before they come to acquire. They did everything. I have the paper from A to Z, which I gave these people. Which are Mandela, they came to my house when they were raising this issue. I told them
At that time, these people were involved at that time.
Yes, they were involved.
And they knew
people,
that.
There are the people leading this annual group.
Yes.
They came and I told them not to make that noise. That these things must be with dialogue. We go down to sit down with the government and tell them what we want. Dialogue with government. You don't fight government. And at the point they asked me that government didn't do the needful. They didn't do the necessary thing. I said no, they did. I went inside my room, brought all the documents, and gave them the job photocopy. Most of the documents I using, they collected it from me. So government did everything they're supposed to do. And talking on the land taken is too much for an airport. The land was not taken for airport alone.
So before we come to that, so the statement that certain persons, certain individuals gave out their land that is flying, what can you say about that?
That is very mischievous now. I've told you how the land was donated. How can an individual give up their land? They knew this land was initially donated by Iwuoba people.
So as at that period, what period are you talking about of your involvement?
That initial period.
Yeah, what year are we talking about of your involvement?
I think 2003 or 2004.
So by 2010,
yeah,
the people actually knew the extent of land taken. So A, B, C, D and things.
We knew. I say at each point they advertised.
They advertised it and things.
The land they're about to acquire.
Yes.
You understand? Placed it in the primary schools, at local government headquarters, and what I usually do then is to go and photocopy those
the notices.
the notice.
Yes.
It's the only one UMUERI man that protested on paper. Chief Michael Edmawo, UMUERI.
Okay. Well, yes.
It was the only person that went against this accusation, according to the law, during that period.
He mentioned it to me. He mentioned I was going to interview him, but his flight came
I
up
said
and
it was the only UMUERI man who protested against this on paper, on newspaper, according to the law. He protested. And when he came down, I took on him why he could not continue. Land belongs to government. You understand? So all this noise we're making is paining me because it's something we can get sitting down from government. William is very nice to us. His Excellency the Governor has been very, very nice to UMUERI people. we should be celebrating him. We should be celebrating him, because if it will be another governor, another person, something bad would have happened. But I thank God, he followed us diligently from beginning to the end. Before he did this release, Pastor Day, I took on him, one-on-one, begging him to do that. I gave him reasons to do that. And he later saw reason with me, he did it. Even this Pastor C they're talking about, almost half of us, is about to be released to us. So not only thank him today that he's the governor, forever we should be grateful to His Excellency OBIANO, Governor OBIANO. He handled us like brothers and sisters.
That is nice to know. That is nice to know. Now you are about to comment on the issue of the was it how much, whether the land was too much. We've talked about the acquisition of Pastor A, B, and T, that it
The
was
land
not, it was
not
there,
too
but
much for the purpose in which they were taking the land for. The land they took it for airport and airport.
they started with 720 hectares, and then it moved on to
1,000.
in the end to 2,000.
1,900 and something.
1,900.
And
Okay,
something.
hectares. Yes, 1,900.
Yes. Part of this land is for the airport city. You understand?
Yes.
The people that wanted this land were the Chinese, working with Pataru to Orient Petroleum Resources. You understand? And before this land was increased, there was a meeting. UMUERI people were invited at Basil. I was not in the country then. In this meeting, the Orient management with government told Anambra people what they're about to do in Anambra. I'm not talking about the airport city.
Yes.
And the quantum of land needed. And they were telling UMUERI people, if they are not ready to give more land, they can move to Iwuoba on Thursday to get more land.
Okay.
In that meeting, the UMUERI people that attended that meeting, dignitaries went outside and met and agreed to give more land to government. That was what led to BCD.
Okay.
Basil Iwuoba was not in town. I was not in that meeting.
You are not in the country.
I was not in the country. And UMUERI people agreed to give more land. If UMUERI people agreed to give more land in that meeting at Banking Hotel Roca. It was after that meeting that BCD came on board. You understand? So we were told about it. And I told these people in the house, one of the visitations they made to my office, I told them that stop making this unnecessary noise and demanding for things you cannot do. Let me tell you, I told them that if government by tomorrow, change their mind from airport city to start selling that land to individuals, we will go to court and get the land back. Because in the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, once you acquire a land for a particular purpose and later did not continue with that purpose and now trying to use the land for another thing, the original owners of the land will go to court and get their land back, because you cannot change the purpose in which the land was given to you. I don't know the exact place it is in the Constitution, but I've read it over and over again. You cannot take my land for market and tomorrow You start selling that to individuals.
To individuals.
So the fear that government was going to sell this land to individuals, give it and blame the people. This is what we were hearing. It doesn't make sense to me. I told you, stop that speculation. It doesn't make sense to me. Because I knew my right that government cannot take our land for a city and start giving it to APs and all the big companies to buy. It's not possible. It is not possible. The land is taken for airport and airport city. So we are looking up to them after the airport city will start coming about. But once they did not go for airport city and started giving to main market people, we will refuse them entry and go to court and take back our land.
Okay.
Apart from the mistake I told the government made initially by coming down to where we are living, instead of going to the far Agro that will give them land, we have no problem with government.
Okay.
They've done us no wrong. Government did us no wrong. But that mistake, I captured it. Even before the governor, I told them. Before it became well people, I told the governor the mistake they made. That's the only mistake.
Okay, so that's where the statement that they left where they were given and now they are building.
That's exactly where
so
the statement came from.
you are saying that is a valid complaint.
It's a valid complaint.
It's a valid complaint.
But they are correcting it. That was reason for this release. Releasing D and trying to release part of C. So you can call OBIANO a listening governor.
Yes. So the because that's exactly where people are having a problem, and you see that's being corrected by the release of the C and the.
Yes, OBIANO is doing that to correct that mistake.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it saw reasons with what we were saying.
Okay. Now the release of the C and D, how far has that gone? Would you say?
They've released it to us.
Effectively.
Effectively, the paper. Yeah, I think they've handed over the paper to the chairman of the UMUERI, Dr. Iwuoba.
Okay.
He with the paper.
Okay, we'll verify that.
And part of C is about to be released.
Okay.
About half of C, governor told me one-on-one.
Okay.
Will be released also.
So when that is done, what areas will be released? Will be relieved now?
This our living part of the land.
Part of the land.
Part
The school that's affected. I understand the school.
No, the D. Schools enter D.
Okay.
C is where we're supposed to.
So the area that involves the school has already been released. That is
course,
the
that
D.
is
That's
D.
already okay. So the school is free now.
Yes.
What of Kwenye's home?
It's
As
free,
you said,
it's free.
it's free now.
It's free.
It was involved before, but it's free now. It's
From
free.
the one is free.
It was free.
I think from his fence,
Yes.
the land started.
Okay.
From the one.
From his friends.
But now it's free.
It's
totally.
free now. Okay. So those
Not only
distortion.
him, those residential areas
Yes.
that fell in C
Yes.
will be free.
They'll be free. Okay.
Will be free.
Okay, that's beautiful. It's comforting to know.
Yeah.
It's comfort. I think you see that is why we are asking these questions. We are trying to achieve two things. It is important for our people and people everywhere to know that even if the transaction was done 50 years or 500 years ago,
Yes.
if it is not to the benefit of the people, we will ask questions no matter how long.
Yes.
No matter how long it takes, we will ask questions. So let nobody imagine that because it's 20 years, that means that you
No, the
do it and
question
get
I'm
away
asking
with it. Yes,
right.
yes.
But saying things that are not correct.
No, that's what we are to ask.
It's not good.
Yes, so that's number one, the idea that
Destroying
you ask
people that
questions.
saved you
Then,
from crisis.
yes.
It's not good.
Yes. So we are trying to bridge the information gap. I think it is important that we bridge the communication gap for the people to understand precisely what was done. Because the things you have explained, in fact, talking with you now, I understand now a lot of the things that Chief Mbogu was trying to say, about going to court, we'll go to court, and some other things that he was talking about.
Yes.
You have made quite a lot of them,
Yes.
quite a lot of them clear. And that is why it's necessary, important to have two sides, so we can have two sides of these things.
Yes.
So I'm on the basis of the things that you have said, the explanations and the discussion, I can say that one can really commend the work of all of you that were involved in that project from day one. The foresight, the management. Maybe it was not perfect, but then whoever is perfect and what is ever perfect. So I thank you so much for this. Now, can we take a moment to look at the issue? Money was paid, about 140 million, you said, was paid for the land acquisition. That was the first payment. To the best of your knowledge, what was this money used for?
No,
I'm not interested in whether it was. I'm not trying to insinuate whether it was. Things like that. No, yes.
I got it clearly. The first payment was shared into three. The first payment of 125.30 million, I told you, was shared. 94 million was shared to us, the three villages. Mbele got 30 million, or we got 30 million. Umuatolo, because of their population, got 34 million. It was 30 million all through. I was one who put there with the committee that Umuatolo should be giving some little
something more
money
because of the population. Yes.
I put there with the committee, and the committee endorsed it. So we gave them 4 million additional. That was the first money. And about 20-something million was left in our account.
Office, yes.
And that one was even kept for Iwuoba to be built. Which up to today, nobody has ever thought about it again.
It has not been built.
Not even, we never even remember talking about it, talking less of going to build it.
And the money?
Well, I will not say anything about the money. All I knew, I would get about 20 million for that project. So that was the first one I knew about. The rest, I will not say anything about it.
Okay. Now, let's pursue this a little. However, it will take maybe another 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So, the money was shared 30 million, 34 million to these communities.
Yes, the first money.
And let me go straight and say that I learned that this money was split among the villagers. 10,000 per household or 10,000 per family.
I don't know about that. I don't know about how the people handle their own. I only knew about my own, which is Obo.
Yes.
Yes, I know how it went. But I don't want to go into that issue now.
Okay, I only what it was what I intended was just a social comment and things because
some ugly
or some ugly or some other things. Okay, so let's just. But actually, what I was interested in, I want to make a comment on is the economics of splitting such a huge amount of money so that people get 5,000 or 1,000 and something. No, it's not. Why it's not past tense is that such mistakes and such thinking. You see, you often hear people say, Nigeria's money is 50 million. Therefore, let's bring it and split it for everybody takes his own. That kind of economics. That kind of economics. Let's say it's all right. So thank you very much, Chief. You've been very, very helpful. I want to thank you very much. I want to commend you for what you have done. I just wonder how old you were when you got into all these things, when you became a community leader. You were in the Constituent Assembly. What year was that?
1994,
95 Constituent Assembly. So that's going to 3 decades ago, And I know you are not 70, so I just imagine how young you must have been and things like that. I would like to look at these issues because I think a lot of it can serve to motivate our people, positively, but not in this engagement. We want to close this now, but I want a commitment that we will find time and look at some of these things. How a person, at the time when, if it were now, you will be sagging, your mates at that time, will still be sagging their trousers and they're playing video games in one-room places, while at that age, you are already a community leader. Not just a community leader, you are much more like a community leader. I want to understand who Chief Basil Iwuoba was, how he came to be the person that he was. Thank you very much. So this Center for Research in Igbo History and Culture, and we've been sitting in on our discussions with Chief Basil Iwuoba, and we want you to help us by subscribing to the channel. You'll be able to see the rest of this interview and our other engagement with Chief Iwuoba on his personal history, development, and contributions, and those of other persons of Igbo extraction also. Thank you for being with us. Remember the subscription issue. God bless you. See you in the next video.